So how are you finding the Canadian shows?
I think they've been wonderful so far. It was
Yeah,
a really psychedelic play. What was the place with the funny shapes?
In Edmonton.
Edmonton. There was a venue that had like several tiers of
A lot of different levels. It was like in a mall, in a big mall.
yeah.
Oh, West Edmonton Mall.
That one, yeah, but it wasn't in the mall, but it was like incorporated with the mall. So that was a spectacularly psychedelic, weird place to play, weird shapes and levels and stuff like that. That was pretty good. There's been a lot of people. I guess that all the gigs being sold out in Canada. So we've been, it's been crazy and cool for us since we haven't been to these places, as a headlining act before. We played Calgary and Edmonton. Indeed, yeah, but it's also, the world is such a big place. It took, it takes ages to tour around. We've been skipping the whole of Scandinavia. We've been skipping the whole of Eastern Europe to be able to come here. So you've got to lose some to gain some. Unfortunately, you just can't do it all.
Yeah. And you're actually touring. I saw you had new dates all the way up to March.
Well, we're doing some European stuff, and then we're supposedly coming over here as well. But I don't know yet. I guess it's also depending on how well the album does.
Awesome.
Well, it's doing fairly okay, but it's not being played on the radio or anything like that. And it's just, it's a very expensive operation to bring everybody over. Pay all the technicians, all the stage gear, everything like that, fly that stuff over.
Yeah.
And if you're not playing to, packed clubs, there's no reason of doing it. So we're kind of like still checking out, if Now Bleed Well is going to be the second single off of it, if that's will be played on the radio, I guess it makes it more worthwhile to come over.
Absolutely.
Because otherwise, we'd be just, let's say, I don't want to pay $500 to be able to play tonight. Zero is fine. I don't have to gain anything. I don't have to, but I don't want to pay for it. Especially when you're doing about like 25 gigs in a month, you end up paying a lot of money. Thousands and thousands of bucks just for me.
In a way, it doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't.
It's a crazy business.
It is.
Yeah, well, but it's also, when an album doesn't do so well, that's the time when you should be touring a lot. So it's kind of, it's a double-edged sword. But, this song's been going really well, but it's just, it would be nice if, for example, in North America to do a bit more promo. We haven't done anything. Nobody sorted it out, We have a lot of days off and there's nothing to do. That's kind of weird. I'm not complaining, though.
Yeah, it's nice to have the odd day off, I guess.
Well, but it's also, once we've traveled a zillion miles to come over here, it's nice to do something. If you have a day off, it doesn't kill the day off if you're talking with lovely people, journalists or whatever, for an hour and a half, but it seems that nobody cares for us, so that makes things a bit more
You're talking to the
complicated.
wrong people.
Well,
We care.
Well, hopefully, that's good to hear.
So let's talk about the album Venus Doom. Because I know you haven't talked about it at all, probably, right?
Well, we talked about it when it came out, so it's been a while.
Yeah.
And we talk to each other.
Do you really?
Yeah.
In general,
or
about
also about the album. We analyze it.
What do
in
you
the
say?
bus.
How do you analyze it?
It's in Finnish. It's kind of hard. It doesn't really translate too well.
Sure. So say in Finnish, what were you saying?
Yeah.
Oli laiteltu.
Oh, right.
We'll translate it. It's probably cursing.
No,
It's not. It was totally about the album. Yeah. What do you want to know?
What I was going to ask, actually, is about the lyrics and the vocals. There's a real vulnerability there, and I was just wondering, they're his. You don't think so?
Well, I don't know.
I was just wondering. He's laughing at me. I was just wondering if you ever had moments where you felt like you put too much of yourself out there.
No.
And didn't keep enough for yourself.
No, it depends on the songs. Some songs bring more emotion out, and then it's funny at times. I met people who consider one line of a song being such an emotional moment, and at the end of the day, I was there in the studio half naked with a bottle of beer in my hand and talking to my mom at the same time. If you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So it's not necessarily, that's the cool thing about music, that it does evoke images in people's heads and vibes and emotional states. That's why we do music. But it's not that I would be on the verge of tears when I'm singing. There's many things going on. You got to be in tune. Mm-hmm. You're gonna try to remember the lyrics or read the lyrics. You've got to be a certain distance away from the mic to get the sound as good as possible. So once you're over with that, then you let the emotional work begin, so to speak. But it's always emotional. I guess every instrument, playing an instrument, is always emotional. You know, once you get over the, you know, the technical aspects, so to speak. So I don't guess that the vocals are more vulnerable, or the lyrical aspect of it than before.
I noticed that there's a lot with this album. You seem to have stripped down the sound. So it's more, the sound is more...
it's a bit more straightforward, yeah.
Yeah, it's more straightforward. And the cover is also a little different than what you normally do.
Yeah, that just happened. You know, we have several albums with a Hardware logo band on the covers, and you know, I have a couple of ideas to do Hardware in a new way again. But at this time around, I wrote most of the songs back home, and I had the original painting on my wall, and that gave me a lot of inspiration. And in a way, the eyes of that lady on the painting saw me at my most vulnerable. So the creative process and a lot of my meltdowns and shit happened under her watchful eyes. So in that sense, for me personally, it's very important in that sense, you know. And when I look at the cover, it's like looking at my living room, so I feel at home, which is kind of sick. But at the same time, it's very intriguing, isn't it?
It is.
I think it's a really interesting picture.
Well, you know, I like
take
it.
A lot of different things from it.
Yeah, I guess so. You know, that's a good thing about art in general. I don't know shit about art. I don't know much about artists. You know, I just walked through. You know, I was walking through French Quarters in New Orleans and just had a day off and was hungover, and then saw that painting in a gallery and went in there, and I never had, you know, purchased any art, so I was, you know, calling up our manager and, you know, is this and this amount too much, or what should I do? Can you, like, you know, negotiate on the process in a gallery or whatever? And then I ended up just buying it. You know, I really, you know, fell for it. So it was a great painting.
That's the way art should be. So I think it's really cool on the album that you have one song that's 10 minutes long, and you got another one that's a minute long. So it's not necessarily that you did like a commercially, you know, the usual BS, so to speak. And I love that about the album.
Well, it's kind of annoying these days that the length of a song has somehow become an issue. You know that you're supposed to write, you know, you're supposed to write songs that fit the radio, or songs that people don't get bored with, even though they last more than 4 minutes. There's a certain lame aspect to that. So in a sense, it was good. You know, we didn't do it because of that, but it sure was a relief in a way that you can do it still.
You know, popular music's changed a lot. You know, if you think of the Monkees songs or whatever, they never clocked over 3 minutes, probably. So a lot of the old pop stuff, that's like 2.5 minutes, 2 minutes, 45 seconds. Now the latest Amy Winehouse album is pretty close to that as well. So it's just, the song starts, there's a vocal, there's a chorus, there's a vocal, there's a chorus, maybe a tiny little middle section, chorus and an end. And that's beautiful in a short story sort of a way as well, that you really get straight to the point. But, you know, I guess for commercial reasons, radios back in the day, maybe in the 80s or late 70s, started having the 3.5 minute thing, because, you know, then they can play within an hour, within one program, they can play a certain amount of songs and include a certain amount of commercials in between. So that's the reason for radio edits, for example. And it still happens in some countries like Germany, for example. It's hard to get on mainstream radio stations if you don't have an edit of a song. Well, I don't mind myself, because at the end of the day, you know, if somebody hears a shorter version of, let's say, Sleepwalking Past Hope and gets really into it, that means that that particular person maybe goes onto the iTunes or goes into a record store and buys the album. So it's a demonstration, a demo of the entire thing in that sense. And also then the overindulgence, you know, probably Cokefield or whatever, you know, think bands like Yes or King Crimson. They got a bit out of hand in the 70s as well with the prog bands, you know. Some of the stuff's really good, but some of it's like, it's like a wankathon. There's too many things, you know, too many things going on. Everybody trying to prove that they're the fastest or most creative artists when it comes to, you know, it shouldn't matter whether song is, you know, short or long, you know.
Yeah, it's just that, you know, there were so many short songs around that I kind of noticed that I started having like a musical attention span of like a grapefruit, if you know what I mean. It was like just when something was, you know,
Like
longer than what you're used to, then you're sort of feeling query about it, and I don't think that's very good.
It'll probably happen to me as well if I'm starting with my fruitarian music.
Oh yeah, maybe it will turn it into a grapefruit.
Probably. You are what you eat, man. I'm going to be a fruit.
You're what? You better not say
And
that.
then when you're
you know that's
old-
gonna end up on the internet, and you're gonna hear weird stories about yourself.
Me saying that I'm fruit.
No,
I mean, there's some
we're not
strange
talking
stuff
about
anyway.
fruit, but being actual fruit.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
you are what you eat, man. So I'll
Yeah,
be.
and then when you go old, you will be a raisin.
Could be.
I'm thinking
Or
like
like a
commercial.
sun-dried tomato or something.
Could be that,
You never know.
depending
Depends how much
which
sun
time
you
of
get.
I'm
vegetable
just
you
fucking
eat
around
up
with my diet at the moment, so I'm going for.
Why are you screwing up your diet?
I've been a vegetarian for ages, but I read
completely.
Yeah, well, no fish, no. I do eat dairy products, so I do cheese on top of bread or whatever, but and eggs occasionally. But I read about fruitarianism. You know, not being a vegetarian, but fruitarian. So you eat just fruit, and it's pretty tough. You have dietary supplements and stuff like that. But then it's no dairy products. Basically everything that just falls off a tree. So. Not everything that falls off a tree. No, I wasn't meaning that. But you don't kill the plant.
Right.
So let's see. You don't do rice or anything like that. So
Wow.
just go for it. Let's see what happens.
Like, what's the greatest challenge you faced together as a band?
Well, stay one. I guess. Stay a band. You know, everybody. We'd be growing up together, and people's lives change, and they get wives and kids and things. And you know they get frustrated, and at times they're happy, and at times it's very hard to get 5 individuals to be in the same mood for traveling, let's say 6 months a year, and living in the same bus and still being able to cope with each other, because really rarely, even in a marriage, you see
Yeah, you guys have been
the individuals together for such a long time. You know, in one go. We've been together for we've known each other for you know, but let's say there are more pros than cons, so that's probably the reason. You know. You just learn to appreciate the fact that, you know, that you don't like somebody's, you know, smell of somebody's farts, and you can't do shit about it. You know, you just breathe through your mouth. That's what I do.
Or you can put this autopsy thing under your nose.
Well, I don't know where to get that shit.
I don't know either. That would be actually pretty cool.
Just saying that, you know, not saying that, you know, on an artistic level we would be compromising, but you have to compromise on the day-to-day basis, you know, the way you live.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which is fine. You just, you know, you get used to it, and I'm pretty certain that now after this tour's done, we're going to go over to play a few gigs in the UK, and then we're having nearly 2 months off, excluding the one gig we're playing at New Year's in Finland. So I guess everybody's going to be super hungry after 2 months, you know, just without doing anything. So that's the way it is, you know. You're just bored on tour. Now we're like halfway through, and everybody's been having a bit of, you know, getting the flu and being a bit feverish and stuff. And now it's getting better. Everybody's feeling good now again. But halfway, you know, when you're half done, you start thinking about home. How you want to be there rather than in this, you know, all carpeted, AC'd, shitty, monstrosity called a bus.
Technical monstrosity.
Out of all the band members, I'm going to name a couple of words here, and I want you to tell me which band member this best represents. Practical Joker.
Practical joke.
Practical.
This is a tough one, actually. Who'd be the
Yeah,
practical
I have
joke?
lots of ideas, but I never.
He used to be one.
I never managed to. I'm too lazy to make them happen. But I have lots of good ideas for practical jokes.
We used to do a lot of practical jokes, but nowadays it's more verbal. It's verbal violence, which we prefer.
Verbally abusive.
Yeah, as much as possible. In that case, me.
I'm very abusive.
Perfectionist.
Well, I guess that will be you.
Me or Burton, maybe.
Bertha is
Burton's
perfectionist in a way,
nice
but
because
he's
he's
a bit of a
classically
slacker
trained.
as
I
well.
don't know. I'm a slacker too. No, I'm
A lot
not.
of slacks, Bert.
I'm not that perfect, but you know, I'm not that much looking. I just like working. I like new ideas. I like working on new ideas. That doesn't necessarily make me a perfectionist. I don't want the in my eyes, perfection is imperfection. You know, perfect imperfection. That's perfection. You know, a lot of nice little tiny mistakes that only life can make happen. That's music. You know, if you take all the life out of it, you know, it's just black dots on the sheet music. So in that sense, I am a
What about
perfect
dreamer?
Imperfect trader.
You know, whatever. Yeah, okay. Let's not get there.
Who's the dreamer?
Well, there's a theory that, you know, if you don't have dreams, you grow old before your time. There's a theory from our
Look at us. I've
producer.
got fucking gray hair, man.
Yeah.
Where?
I got a few somewhere here. I'm really proud of them. My grandma.
You can pull them out?
No, I don't want to. I want gray hair. It'd be super cool to be like, 32 and have like Gandalf hair. That'd be great.
So who looks youngest, you know, considering his age, that will be the dreamer. So you can make a conclusion out of picture.
Out of recent pictures.
Yeah.
I think I'm the dreamer as well. Because that has a lot of things to do with ideas and everything.
Well,
I'm a constant thinker and a daydreamer and, stuff like that.
How about out to lunch?
Gas.
Yeah.
He's fucked up. He's not living with us.
He's very absent-minded.
He's
Very.
I mean,
He's the drummer, too.
he's the first person.
Yeah, tragic.
He doesn't do
isn't
that
it?
when he's playing, right?
He's the first person I've ever really considered to be, in the nicest possible way, nicest possible meaning of the word, I've considered him to be stupid. That he lacks, his heart is so fucking big that he kind of like did push some of the brains out of the ears when he was growing up, or something like that.
Okay.
He's a very, very emotional guy, and he's very caring towards all friends, and he's a cool guy in that sense. But he's really slow, and he's like out there all the time. Like he can't make a decent cup of coffee. He takes the coffee pan out and puts water in it, and then fills the thing, and then puts the thing into where the pan should be, and that kind of like unintentional Chevy chases and.
Yeah, it could be that he's actually like physically retarded, like mildly.
Could be, you never know.
I'm sure he won't mind you said that.
Totally not. I've said it to him several times, and I will keep it saying
No,
until he's cured.
If you were a book, what would your title be?
My title will be. I'm trying to scan through all of the titles and then like tweak one word. Is what I'm trying to do now. A book that's not in existence.
Yeah, whatever.
Be called The.
That was too easy.
Oh, well, what's wrong with that?
It's informative.
And what would yours be called?
M.
You didn't think you were going to get away with that
Man
accent,
machine.
All right.
What was it called? Man Machine?
Man Machine.
That's the first thing that came to
I
my
don't know if I
mind.
want to know what goes on in this bus. Some strange shit. I don't know. What sound do you hate?
Somebody's sharpening a knife.
I don't mind that. I
I hate
kind
that
of
sound
like
for
it.
some reason. I don't usually have it if somebody's putting a chalk on a whatever,
board,
on a board or
chalkboard.
something like that. I don't have those, but that sound I've always hated for some reason. I love knives though, and that's a phenomenon.
Fair enough.
But that sound is just repulsive for me. We should probably use it on the album just to piss me off. One day.
Oh, well, volume in general. If people are talking too loud, but I do that myself at times. It's just like, and also, there are people. It's funny that you can meet the most beautiful girl in the world and fall like head over heels, but when she opens her mouth, there's something wrong.
She sounds like Miss Piggy or something.
Not necessarily Miss Piggy, but it could be something too husky or too whatever. But that's a weird thing that can influence the whole relationship. Or
Absolutely.
it can go down the drain. Yeah, well, it's not just because of that, but a lot of people don't think about that, I guess. But for me, it's really important.
Yeah, it affects. And how people laugh.
Well, true, yeah. Especially
that's
Dutch people.
They laugh at that They have this syllable that they use. This they speak like that, and then sometimes people some people do that. No, it's not that hard. It's like
sounds like tearing up a Bible or something.
It's really funny. I think that's attractive in a way. I mean, I don't consider it's humorous and attractive. I don't consider it to be ugly or brutal or whatever.
It's very entertaining.
Entertaining, that's the word. That's the word.
You have a younger brother that's also a musician, right?
He plays a bit, fair bit, yeah.
Yeah. I was wondering what advice you would give to young musicians about the industry.
None. I guess that everybody's got to learn. Everybody's got to make their own mistakes. And there's various amounts of. And then, it's part of the fun. It's part of the growing up thing, and there's a lot of surprises, both negative and positive, around the corner in this business, which makes it incredibly interesting. And at the end of the day, then, after, let's say, being 10 years doing this, for example, myself now, I see, I read a biography, and I'm seeing a lot of myself in there. And obviously, when we started out, I thought I'd never go into a rehab and get myself in a bad shape, or, do this or that. But nearly everything's happened. The only thing is I'm not dead yet, but that'll happen eventually.
That can be arranged.
That can be arranged, yeah. That could be the Thanksgiving turkey. But
a little bit of cannibal delight.
So no, that's not because all bands, for example, are so very fucking different. I was just talking about it to my little bro. You're just talking on an ordinary level. Just about the relationship he has with the rest of the guys in the band he's playing with, and it's very different than what we have. So you can't compare, because some people do this to get their egos massaged. Some people do it in the high hopes of glamour and fast cars and maybe chicks and stuff. And then some people like us do it because of music. Whatever else is there along the way, that's a bonus. But the main focus is the music, and that's how we started. So that's the main difference. The basic reason why people do it. It's the same as like talking about alcoholism. Why do people drink? They don't drink because of booze. There's always underlying issues somewhere. And for musicians, it's the same. Because usually the most creative, fucked up, original individuals who change the world of music through their songs, they're usually really sick. And they're the ones who die young.
Yeah.
No, that's okay. And you've got to remember, if you tour a lot, you travel a lot, obviously that takes a lot of years off. Your time is not, you don't go by a 7-day week with 5 days of work and 2 days off, or half a day on a Saturday. We tend to try to do like 4 to 5 gigs in a row, then have a day off and do it again, as long as it takes. So your weekends keep on changing their place, so that we don't go by 300 and something days. We go by albums. One album is 1 year for us, I guess. It's the one kind of trip, writing, producing, rehearsing, recording, touring, doing everything, and then when it's over, that's kind of like, then the year is done. And that year usually lasts for about 2.5 years, and it takes, 20 years, off,
So that would make you...
About 120.
Like getting close as Dracula, bit by bit.
Sorry, you're talking about being that old, and then you're talking about being a raisin.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Comes to mind
Ancient
strange
raisin.
picture.
It was a really bad metaphor. The grapefruit. I'm totally sorry I ever mentioned it.
Oh, no.
But
Just call me AR from now on. Ancient raisin.
It's just small and helpless.
That makes me think of that stupid commercial
hold
for
it in
dancing
your hand.
raisins.
I haven't seen that.
You don't want to, it's scary. It'll give you nightmares.
I can't dance.
You can't dance?
No.
I don't believe
Bird
it.
can tap dance. I can't dance.
What?
He can tap dance.
Oh my god, are you serious?
Yeah.
Make him do that.
It's really sick. I don't know what the hell.
It's like when one day if we get the opportunity of playing stadiums and shit, all the big bands, they play 3 hours. which usually means 15 songs, and then everybody has their own like wanky, guitar solo bit. So he's not gonna do a keyboard solo, but a tap dance solo.
Tap dance.
That'd be great. Imagine all the lights and effects. Everybody could, guys could cook something. We do something very, something out. I could read for half an hour.
Oh yeah.
Just to myself, not allowed.
We could do something macabre.
Yeah, well, we could do incorporate
kind of
sexual activities.
No, not necessarily sexual. Maybe this is like more H.P. Lovecraft kind of a sort of a reenactment of Charles Dexter Ward's suffering.
Fair enough.
It sounds like an interesting show.
Yeah.
I'm sure people would pay money.
I can brew the essential salts out of you. And then summon you back.
Oh, fair enough.
Okay, now I'm scared.
Yeah. So now you know what to expect when we hit the stadiums in Canada.
Right. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
Black magic and tap dancing.
I was going to ask you what you were reading right now.
I'm reading the last of the Clive Barker book, Mr. Be Gone. I'm reading that, and I just finished Nikki Sixx's Heroin Diaries. Then I got a book by Chelsea Kane called Heartsick. Then, hold on. It'll just take me 30 seconds. It's pretty good stuff.
What do you do with all your books, anyway?
What?
I noticed you said you read a lot. What do you do with all your books when you're done with them?
Well, I have a library back home.
Oh, so you can?
Yeah. I always, for some reason, it's like CDs. Never throw them away. Never, ever. In any case, even if you're lacking money. I once did, and I'm so pissed off. So I had a lot of CDs that never were reprinted. Yeah. Not something particularly valuable in money, or valuable in music. Stuff that it's very hard to get nowadays. You can't get it on iTunes, like reggae albums from the year, whatever it might be. So I'm really pissed off at that. But so I keep everything. They look nice, and then it's as reference when you're reading a book, and you got similar, books on similar subject. You can always do. I really rarely reread anything. It's really interesting.
No, it's sticky, man.
No. The acclaimed metaphysical epic that binds together cosmological phenomena of our time, ranging from crop circles to quantum theory to worldwide resurgence of shamanism to support the contention of the Mayan calendar that year 2012 portends global shift in consciousness, culture, and a way of living of unprecedented consequence. Or unprecedented. How do you?
Unprecedented.
Unprecedented consequence. This is like part memoir. It's just some guy who used to write for New York Times, Esquire, Wired, Village Voice, LA Weekly. So it's kind of like him just going through just kind of paranormal, kind of weird stuff, and then just like joining it all up together because the Mayan calendar says that that's the last year. A lot of people say that that's the doomsday is going to happen in that year because that's where the Mayan calendar, that's where it ends. So that's the last year in that book.
Yeah.
It's fairly
You read all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, I tend to. There's UFO shit here. Everything.
Oh, that's always good.
So it's like everything's like mixed.
Have you ever thought of writing your own book?
No. Well, like shit like beyond the apocalypse and blue-eyed Jesus awaited by the faithful, another rough beast slouches towards us. The biosphere crisis of such magnitude that it will touch the life of every person on Earth. We are being confronted by something so completely outside of our collective experience that we don't really see it, even when the evidence is overwhelming. For us, that something is a blitz of enormous biological and physical alterations in the world that has been sustaining us, writes it as editorial director of The World Watch.
Awesome.
There's just like all kinds of weird shit in this book collected in one. I love it.
That's cool.
So that's good. Is that I love Chuck Palahniuk, so he says with Gretchen Lowell, Chelsea Kane gives us the most compelling, most original serial killer since Hannibal Lecter. And as I love Heartsick, what kind of music I do, it just felt good. Secret History of Lucifer. This is one of those like bullshit books like the Da Vinci Code.
Yeah.
And the meaning of the true Da Vinci Code, it says. But
there you go.
This is actually about the history of Lucifer, him being Luxifera in Latin, the bringer of the light, the kind of like the Enlightenment movement, back in like maybe 1700s, Isaac Newton, everybody like that, they were called Luciferian or Luciferian at one point. That was actually not a cult, but a term loosely binding of different artists and different people who were changing the world, because it was time of enlightenment, realizing new possibilities and new things that the Westboro Church, Baptist Church, doesn't appreciate. And Joe Hill, he's really good. Heart Shaped Box is his first novel, and this is his first short story collection. Great writer on ghost stories. He's one of the best, new voices in horror. And then, obviously, Vampires in Their Own Words, an anthology of vampire voices. So this is actually just a collection of real vampires, or people who really actually do drink blood, or consider themselves being psychic vampires or whatever. I've been reading a few books on the same topic, and they're fairly entertaining. You know, how people get so sucked in through the popular culture and through Bram Stoker that they actually invent their own, not necessarily pseudo-magical, but their own realm in which they live, own subculture.